got a couple minutes, or should we get
Oh,
started?
yeah.
Up on my
1
watch.
minute, 1 minute, I have
Is it time?
6:59. Well, if we're all ready. Okay, great. I guess we will call to order now. This is the Wednesday, November 9th, 2022 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Apologies. It's a good reminder to turn off our cell phones.
Okay, so we'll do the roll call. Mr. Soto?
Here.
Ms. Hirsch?
Here.
Mr. Montano?
Here.
Mr. Dubois?
Here.
And I'm here. I'm Sarah Ferrante. Tonight, excused tonight is our chair, Joe Chizola, and Chris Wolf. So Gary, will you sit in for Chris?
Yes.
Wonderful. Carmina, will you sit in as well for voting?
Yes, I will.
Great,
Thank
and
you.
I will preside as chair tonight in Joe's space. And Carmina, will you please act as secretary?
Happy to do so.
Wonderful. Okay, so, to the agenda. First item, 114 Merwin Avenue has been extended to December. So if anyone's here for that, that'll be heard in December. And 17 to 19 Cherry Street has been withdrawn. So if anyone's here for that, they can carry on, that will not be heard. And moving forward with Little Pond.
First agenda item to be taken up by the Zoning Board of Appeals is 20 Little Pond Road, MVP 39/619/4, R10, Thomas Lynch Esquire for Christopher Jensen and Nadira Clark, owners. Vary 3.1.4.1 front yard setback to 18 feet where 25 feet required to construct addition to residence.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Just for the record, my name is Thomas Lynch, and I'm an attorney with the law firm Lynch, Trimbicki & Boynton, with offices here in Milford. So I'm here tonight with my client, Christopher Jensen. Chris and his wife Nadira own the property at 20 Little Pond Road. It's a house that they purchased in 2014, and Stephen has put up on the screen the survey of the property as it exists with the proposed addition. And when I say addition, there's actually going to be two. The subject of tonight's application is just the application to vary the front yard setback from the required 20 feet, from 25 feet to 18 feet. The addition that's shown on the map is to add another bedroom, to increase the size of the house from some 1,700 square feet to 2,300 square feet. The house was built in 1912. I hope everybody took a ride out there to see the site. It's located in the Morningside section of Milford. Little Pond has a very steep decline just to the west of Chris and Nadira's house. So this particular spot on the property is really the only spot where an addition could go because of the grading. And the request is to basically bump out the west side of the house to match the front, the existing frontage of the house. It's a non-conforming frontage that existed since the house was built in 1912. And this is a pretty straightforward request to just have an addition to the house that matches up to the frontage. I did send to Meg earlier today, if Stephen can scroll to it, the plan. It's basically a front elevation. That's a picture of the house from 1912 when it was built, and that shows where the location of the addition will be. But we have an additional elevation that actually depicts what the house is going to look like when completed. So what Nadira and Chris want to do is to match the architectural historic nature of Morningside and have that addition match up to the existing front of the house, raise the fill, put in a foundation with a retaining wall, and set that whole western side of the property up with the addition. On the other side of the house, if we can go back to the survey, I think we're all familiar with the 1912 Morningside map. This property actually consists of 2 lots on the Morningside map. So instead of splitting the lot off and trying to sell it and jam another house on that street, which has been basically the nature over the last couple of years, is 2 very large houses that were subject of variance applications to the board over the last couple of months directly across the street from this property. But my clients want to have a 2-car garage, a detached garage constructed in that area. The existing garage is below the level of the living space in the house now, and it's virtually unusable. There's a lot of water that collects on the driveway, and the debris actually flows down Little Pond into that area. So the grade will be brought up with the addition, and that'll take care of the runoff problem in that area. But in addition to that, 2 off-street parking spaces will be provided by the garage. So I think this is a classic, almost like a textbook hardship because of the topography of the land, and we submit that to you as our hardship with this application. Thank you.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions for Attorney Lynch? Okay. Is anyone speaking in favor of this application? Is anyone opposed? No more questions? Okay, this hearing is closed.
Pretty basic.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, and I did drive by there, and it looks terribly awkward. And I can,
No, the new house looks real nice.
yeah.
Make a motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay. Mr. Soto, how do you vote?
We have to guess.
In favor.
Okay, Ms. Birch.
With
Caught me
motion.
off guard there, so.
I gotta start at one under the other. Mr. Montano,
Approved.
Mr. Dubois,
With the motion.
and I'm with the motion.
Okay, thanks so much.
Trying to think of the words.
Every month
Budget,
for
so
15 years
we'll-
isn't enough.
Okay. Next agenda item, 6 Arlmont Street, MVP 32-248-1, R-7.5, Thomas Lynch Esquire for Christopher Camerano, owner, vary 3.1.4.1 west side yard setback, to 5 feet where 10 required, rear yard setback to 20 feet where 25 required, to construct a single-family residence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And just again, for the record, Thomas Lynch. On this application, I'm representing Christopher Carano. Chris is seated here tonight with Buddy Field as well, who's going to be building the house on site if this variance is approved. I've given you basically a handout. Some of these things were uploaded onto the website, but we wanted to have pictures to present to you. And basically, this is an application to build a new house on this lot. The application is to vary section 3141, the side yard setback from 10 feet required to 5 on the, basically the easterly side of the property, and the rear yard from 25 feet required to 20 feet to construct this new house. So we've seen applications like this before that we've presented to you. This is a non-conforming, very narrow lot. It's only 30 feet in width. Many of the lots that we've brought to you before are 40-foot lots, and this is 30 feet in width, but it's a legal, non-conforming lot. So that the proposal is basically to build a 20 by 40-foot house. It's the smallest size house really that you can fit and it's a two-story house instead of the three-story, which would be permitted if we build a 15-foot wide house. So basically, this application mirrors others that we've brought to you asking for a recognition of the hardship with the narrow lot, and that the proposed house is more desirable than what could be built on the lot. In the handout, we have the survey, of course. We also have a petition that's been signed by some 8 neighbors in close proximity in favor of the application, and pictures depicting the allowable house, the tall 3-story house, and then the proposed 2-story house, which is 5 feet wider. I'd also note that the requested variance is on the westerly side of the property, the side closest to Mr. Camerato's present house, and with the width of the side yard that he has, in addition to the 5 feet, there's some 29 feet in separation between the two houses. So that really is actually larger than a lot of the other houses in the in the neighborhood. You have any questions? I can try to answer them, or
I have a question.
Yep.
You say that the proposed house is more appealing, I believe those were your words, than what is allowed.
I think it's aesthetically appealing.
Okay, sure, but you can build something on that lot without a variance.
That, there's no question.
So what is the hardship?
The hardship is the fact that it's a very narrow lot, and with other applications that we've brought before you, especially when there is the approval of the neighbors in close proximity to the house, the board has traditionally recognized that what could be built is not as desirable as what we're requesting to be built, and that's the purpose of the petition that we submitted to you. And it's an extremely narrow lot, Sarah. So some of these we've come in with, they're 40-foot lots, and we want to have a 25-foot wide house. And this zone is actually an R75 zone, it's not an R5
Sure.
zone.
But my understanding is that this lot was certified buildable earlier this year, and part of the certification process is that a lot, when certified, is because a conforming house can be built on it.
No question of that, no question. But I submit to you that the hardship in the narrowness of the lot and not having a house that's in conformity with the others that were built in the 1920s in close proximity, with the neighbors in favor of this, I submit to you that we've had a number of applications presented like that, and they've been approved.
Mr. Soto, did you have a question?
Yeah. Attorney Lynch, on your survey here where it says zoning data table, it says side yard setback. Each side yard, under lot 278, it says 5 and 5.
Yes, fine.
So if it's 5 and 5 and a 20-foot house, that's 30 feet.
No, in that zone, in the R, that may be an error on the
That's an
map
error?
from Mr.
Okay.
Stoll.
So what is it, 10 and 5?
Yes.
It's 5 and 10, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I was gonna say, what are you doing here?
No. We come across this quite often on the survey. Sometimes the surveyor puts down the R5
Right, you
regulations.
left it from the last survey and then
Exactly,
changed it.
exactly.
Any other questions?
Attorney Lynch, you're modifying the application. What can be built without our approval?
A 15-foot wide house. And there's been some of those built around town, and they just, I think they look terrible. But it's a legal building lot, and you can build that upright on the lot.
And you're asking for an additional fine?
Yes, I'm asking for a 5-yard setback on the side of the property, not the west side, because the 5-yard setback on that side is legally zoning compliant. On the west side, the side next to Mr. Camerato's present house, where there is an additional 17 feet, I believe, from the survey, 24 feet from his house to the side yard, I'm submitting that the combination of those two measurements totals up to 29 feet, and that's a very substantial amount of space between the two houses. And secondly, a lot of the neighbors on these applications, they don't want 3-story tall houses. They don't want people looking down into their yards and their bedrooms, and that's why Buddy did his due diligence and went around to the neighbors and showed them the two houses that either could be built or, built of right, or the requested house, which is 2 stories, and the neighbors are all in favor of the 2-story house.
Well, I have a question just to follow up to that, Attorney Lynch. So your client essentially told his neighbors, we'll either build within what the planning and zoning regs allow us, which is a taller house and a thinner house, which will look into your yards, or you agree to let me have a wider house. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. So when you said that it's a more desirable house, it's more desirable for purposes of
The neighbors.
the neighbors, according to what was presented to them.
Yeah, these same pictures.
This, see this? This is that. Attorney Lynch, it looks like you got about 8 feet from the attic to the ridge, bottom of the ridge. Will it be, what is the attic gonna be used for, you know?
Oh, yeah.
No living
We agree
space?
to a stipulation like I think we've
Yeah.
done on the other ones.
No
yeah.
problem with that?
No problem with
Okay.
That stipulation being what, sir?
that. That can't be used for additional living space.
No, that, we're gonna give a height restriction. So, cause see, what we could do is if we approve the variance for the width, they could add a 3rd story later.
Exactly.
Right, he
because
could
they're
come
not
back
doing
with a
height.
3-story.
So by us
right.
limiting the height, they can't do that,
Thank you.
because then they're gonna build a 3-story, the same
So-
height.
So it
And get
really would
another
be
light.
what was
Say
proposed.
they don't have the
wider
house sold, and then
taller.
another buyer comes in and says, I want more living space.
Right.
Let's add a 3rd floor. So by us limiting that, they can't do it. And that way the neighbors don't get mad.
Where did we do that?
Because then it would otherwise be a wider house and then could still.
We've done that 2 or 3 times.
We were before you last year on applications for 2 houses on Raycroft Street, and that was made a
Yeah.
condition of the approval.
I have no problem with it. If we-
No, I
if
get
we-
it,
if
and
we put
I
height
give you
restrictions.
credit for either
Yeah.
jumping on that as
Yeah.
a possibility. I mean, we're standing here in good faith saying we're gonna build a 2-family house. You wanna
Yeah,
make
but then
sure that that's
the
not.
sale falls through, somebody else comes by and wants a bigger house,
I
and next
get
thing
it.
you know, it's a bigger one, and the neighbors are mad.
No,
So it will be deed restricted.
Well, that would be our,
It would be part of our variance.
if we were to.
if a variance is granted, Gary, it gets recorded on the land records, so then it becomes, in effect, a title encumbrance.
Any other questions? Okay. Is there anyone speaking in favor of this application?
Good evening, everyone. So, Mr. Fields and Mr.
Excuse
Camerano.
me, can we have your name and address?
Oh, I'm
for
so
the
sorry.
record?
I'm Deborah Salzman. I live at 12 Almont Street.
Thank you.
I'm on the east side, I guess it would be, of the house. Mr. Fields and Mr. Camerano have been very upfront and honest on this whole procedure. As it comes to a shock, I'm a lifelong resident. Actually, my aunt owned a lot of the property in the area. So my dad built the house, my neighbor here as well, the same thing, we're all life residents. In the neighborhood of building the skinnier house, it will look just like that. The aesthetics is basically what we are, to please us, as you put it so nicely. That they have been willing to work with us for that, to make it a neighborhood. It is a neighborhood. Not only will people be towering above my home and Mr. Camerano's, looking down into it in the 3rd floor, it'll just look like you put it there. It'll be totally out of place. By having Mr. Field come back with a new rendition of it, it will give value to the neighborhood as well, which the neighborhood also is only 1 street over, or 2 streets over from the business type areas as well. There's, that area down there can be that way. But I personally feel that if I was to buy a home, I would prefer, and I look at the young people who have moved into my neighborhood, I know them, we talk to them, we're very well knit. they don't like it either. They, you know, they don't feel that they just spent 450, 500,000 for the other two homes to have something like this that looks like it would be just plopped into the area. As I said, it is aesthetically pleasing. I think it makes Milford more attractive. It doesn't look like we're being greedy, just sticking houses all over the place, but we're putting thought and value into the houses. I believe from what Mr. Field told me, we also do not lose much square footage in the difference of the height and the width of the house that they can do. We are a family neighborhood. There would still be enough yard to play in for any children that would come. They have the sidewalk, the right of way, they're not that far from the corner. And they would have a nice, I think, area for themselves as well. Okay. I've never done this over here, so thank you very much.
You did fine.
And I hope you take it really into consideration, not just for us neighbors, but for the new people that are gonna buy that home, for the new neighbors that are gonna be coming in future homes into the neighborhood as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else speaking in favor?
You let me do it for them. Lifelong neighbors, that's what happens.
Is anyone opposed? Commissioners have any more questions? Okay,
I have nothing, thanks.
all right, great. This hearing is closed.
Discussion?
Discussion, yes.
Yeah. You know, certainly their plans, their proposed plan is beautiful, much more aesthetically
Oh,
pleasing. I agree.
And the neighbors are all
In favor of
in
it.
favor of it, so I mean, I can't see how we can deny it.
But not to sound like a broken record, that planning and zoning makes these regulations for a reason.
Right.
And here we are, you know, cutting and pasting here and there. Eventually, what's the point in having a planning and zoning commission at all? It's always a slippery slope argument, so that's my 2 cents.
Well,
I feel as though this,
if you were on that street, would you want that next to you?
No, I sure
And that's
don't.
what's allowed.
But the
Correct.
elected officials who made these regulations,
I understand.
that's not our charge though,
Right.
Bill. I wouldn't want to live next to that either, but
Right.
that's not our charge. And this lot was just recently certified, and part of that certification comes with the stipulation that you can build a conforming house. And the first thing that happened is they've come here for variance requests.
seems like it was a little bit of gamesmanship, which is unfortunate. On the other hand, we want a beautiful community.
If we deny it, the neighbor we'll be forcing this on the neighbors.
We're not forcing anything on
We're
you.
not
Well,
forcing it.
I know that, but that's what they'll be getting, and then they're gonna be mad at us.
They'll be mad at us, but where they should be mad at is the.
True, but, you know, I mean, that's
We're
my
not
feeling.
building it.
Right.
I know that,
We're
but
not building it. It's not our fault.
I'm looking out like,
I am intrigued by the compromise of allowing the variance and restricting the height from further development.
Right.
But I do wanna be on the record saying that this is not
I hear you.
how this should be done. There's no hardship here. This lot was just certified, and that comes with the stipulation that you can build a conforming house.
I mean, we got 4 right here that signed this right on the same street.
And I appreciate that, and that actually goes a long way with this board traditionally, right? The
Mhm.
neighbors are in favor of it and no one opposes it, we try to work with the owners. What it does seem to be though is that, you know, it was a this or that.
I understand.
And there's a little bit of, you know, bad taste in my mouth when I hear that, frankly. But we want a beautiful community. If the board wants to put a stipulation on something that they feel would help enhance the community, given what the neighbors are requesting, then we should talk about it.
With the condition, putting a condition, condition on it, I'm in favor of it.
What do you guys think?
I go with Mr. Silver.
The neighbors have spoken, that's what they want, they have to live with it, I don't. You know the old saying, I can't see it from my house.
No, I definitely respect that position. All right, well,
We've made our opinions and objections now, that's all we can do.
that's all I can do, so we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve with a height condition of 27 feet total height 22 feet midspan.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay. Mr. Dubois,
With the motion.
Mr. Montano,
With the motion.
Ms. Hirsch?
It's a tough one. With the motion.
Mr. Soto?
With the motion.
I'm with the motion.
I respect the comments of the board. Thank you.
Last agenda item, 48 Dalton Road, MVP 69/713/84, R7.5 Ronald Castellano, owner, vary 3.1.4.1, side yard accessory structure setback to 1.4 feet, where 4 feet is required to build a new detached garage.
Hi,
Good evening.
good evening. Thanks for hearing me. My name is Ron Castellano, 48 Dalton Road. I'm here tonight to ask you to, if I can build my two-car garage, 20 by 20 structure, detached garage. The reason I'd like to put it where it is the ease of flow is perfect for where I'm thinking to have it. And I feel the symmetry, it lines up perfect with the driveway. If I were to move it in, I feel like it would interfere with driving the vehicles into the garage. It would just make it a little awkward. It would be too tight of a bend. Right now, it's comfortable. I can see it, and I've been looking at this for quite a while now, and I feel this is the best setup, especially since there's an already existing grandfathered structure right next to it, which is my shed.
Does anyone have any questions?
So the driveway's on the right side of the house?
Yes,
So you're gonna pull right in like that?
yes.
Does the right side of the driveway line up exactly with the end of that structure?
Pretty
And
much so,
how far off the
yes.
property line is the driveway?
Probably about 1.5 feet, roughly.
Steve, excuse me, can I see where you propose the driveway from the main street?
The driveway's on the right side of the house, see where this cursor is?
Okay, yes, sir.
So this is the driveway.
Okay, so it would be a home run into the garage.
Yes, sir.
You must have small cars.
One pickup, one small car.
Single door you're putting on?
Yes.
It'll be tight.
I kind of modeled it right after my neighbors, which is right next door,
Yeah.
and
Well,
it
20's tight. I mean,
They-
you can
they
get
back
two,
it in
you can get
every-
two cars. You can get two cars in there. It's just, that's like a minimum.
yes,
That concrete pad you have there, is that a patio or is that an extension of the
That-
driveway or?
no,
what is
that's a
that?
patio in back, which I actually plan on cutting the corners off. I plan on cutting those two corners off and doing a little bit of paver stone back there, and that's where we'll do a little barbecuing, in warm weather, but that'll give me some relief there, and it will also create about 11 feet between the corner of the garage and the corner of the house.
And what's your next door neighbor think?
They're, go for it. We're all harmonious. I have
Because you're
great
lining up
neighbors.
with the shed that's already there.
Yes. And I think by default, because the builder built the homes parallel, I think by default, everyone decided that if you go down the street, you can see everyone decided to put their fences or what have you straight and not skewed. So it definitely, it really works out best this way.
Oh, so lots are actually skewed,
Yeah.
but the fences were straight.
Yeah.
So if you were to move that
So do you
garage-
actually have more land there or no?
No, I actually, there's.
So that's the exact amount, that's the survey.
Yes, actually, the front of the garage will be actually 2'4" to the slab, and the
Okay,
back,
so the stockade fence is over more.
right, and the back,
Gotcha.
the fence is actually over more, yes. Which has
Yeah,
been there for probably, according to my neighbor in the back, it's been there for roughly 40 years. But I also told my neighbor, he's, you know, you could use that yard. I was gonna put a fence all the way back before I got educated on all this stuff. But I decided I'm going to just return at the corner of the, at the corner of the garage, I'm gonna return the fence and put a little gate there just so I can have access to go around that side of the, you know, the garage for cleanup and whatnot. And I told him the rest of the yard is yours, since we're now just finding out that he, you know, he was, that was actually on his property. So they're good with it. My other neighbors are, you know, they're all for it. They have no problem with it.
Stephen, can you scroll out, get the whole lot in there? Okay.
You have no written documentation for your neighbor's approval or disapproval.
Yes, I do have letters from my 3 surrounding neighbors. Should be with my paperwork.
Do we have letters of support now?
You would have Adam and Katie Garbati on my right. That's the people right next to me on the right, and on my left is Alexandra Scorza, and in the back is Dave McCall.
Yeah.
My apologies, I neglected to upload that, I think.
Any other questions? All right. We do have an empty room, but I feel compelled to say to anyone, is there anyone speaking in favor of this application? Is there anyone opposed? Do we have any more questions for our applicant?
Commissioner Soto, you approve the letters?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's all right.
Yeah, there's 3 of them here.
And they're all in favor?
Yeah, you wanna read into them? You're the secretary. You can read better than me.
Would you like me to read them into the record, or?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Katie and Adam Garbati indicate that we have been informed of a permit request to construct a garage at 48 Dalton Road, one side of which would be approximately 2.5 feet from the property line with our lot. They've also been informed that the city requires such structures to be at least 4 feet from the property line. Therefore, for the permit to be granted an allowance and our consent to the allowance, is required. This letter is to serve as our consent for the allowance of the construction of the garage to be less than 4 feet, approximately 2.5 feet from the property line. Please feel free to contact us directly. And those are the neighbors that are on the right-hand side,
Yes,
which would be affected essentially.
yes.
I don't think that's a letter, I think that's something, the letters are after, no, the next one's after that.
Maybe they sent it out, no. The next is Alexandra Scorza.
Yes.
Where in relation to your property?
She's on the left side.
On the other side. My name is Alexandra Scorza. I reside at 44 Dalton Road. My neighbor Ronald's garage will not affect my position in terms of our property lines as it is on the other side of the property. Okay. And then
Is that the last one? Yeah.
David McCall,
Yes,
and where is he in relation to your property?
right behind me.
Behind you. he writes, I was talking to my neighbor Ronald Pesolano yesterday, and he advised me he was going for a variance for his garage. My property backs up to Ronald's property. I have no problem with where he wants to place his garage and would not object to him receiving a variance. So the three, adjacent neighbors are in favor.
Okay. All right, any more questions for our applicant? Okay, this hearing is closed.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What do you think?
Well, I feel it's a 20 by 20 garage. I mean, it's bare minimum for a two-car garage. They're usually 24 by 24. So, I mean, he's not asking for anything extravagant here, and I don't have a problem with it.
You sure you wanna make it bigger?
No,
Okay.
You can go to bigger to the,
to the inside.
Hearing's
Hearing's
closed.
closed.
I appreciate
I know.
that. I appreciate that. I have
No
a,
questions, no testimony,
Okay.
hearing's closed.
Yeah.
thank you.
I mean,
If
the
we're
driveway's- The driveway's already there,
Right.
which fitting things in, building new is one thing, fitting things into what's existing is always.
and he's matching the shed line.
Yeah, it's always harder to consider. I mean, the driveway's there, it drives right in, you move it over, all,
Yeah.
reconstruction. So I'm not,
And you gotta swing farther.
Right, it's a harder cut-in ratio.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is, especially if you have a truck.
did you have another comment?
No.
No, okay. Guys, all right, well, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Seconded
Mr. Dubois,
With the motion.
Mr. Montano,
with the motion.
Ms. Hirsch,
With the motion.
Mr. Soto.
With the motion.
I'm with the motion, it passes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Stephen. It's been a lot of help.
Okay, new business tonight.
We're good?
All set.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We do have our 2023 calendar.
Thank you.
Take care.
Typical dates, second Tuesday of every month, and I'm doing a quick scan. Does not look like there are any exceptions to that, like tonight, for example. So it's straightforward, as it's always been, but we do need to vote on it, and I don't see why we can't do that tonight. So, we need a motion.
I make a motion to approve next year's calendar.
Seconded.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. All right, do we have any old business? Staff update. Do we have any applications for next month yet?
This is the carryover.
No,
there's one more.
Merwin and one more?
See, what happened at Cherry Street? Is it pulled for good, or
It was withdrawn.
don't know why?
No.
Coming back, or you don't know?
Before we, sorry. I just wanted to note, before we vote on last month's minutes, we also forgot to vote on September, so if we didn't vote on both of those,
Okay.
catch up.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes from September?
I make a motion to approve September's meeting minutes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to approve October's minutes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
You done?
and that's it, we're done.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor?
Make motion
Aye.
to adjourn, folks.
Yes, motion to adjourn. Adjourned.
These loosely.
I had to put it out.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't give you a book.
I did not get it.